All right, on to the Middle East now. The latest sanctions are meant to cripple Iran, but take a look at Iran's stock market. It is on fire. Look at that. It's up about 30% in the past 3 months. It's all because its citizens are basically being forced to invest in domestic companies since sanctions are prohibiting them from investing outside the country. Between this story we were telling you about, that Reuters was reporting that they're smuggling in gold from Turkey, Iran is doing everything it can to preserve its wealth in spite of the sanctions. Joining me now is Fox News Middle East expert Waleed Phares. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Are you surprised by the boom in the stock market? Do you think that if it's sort of artificially driven by, the lack of the ability to invest outside, that it could collapse?
I'm really impressed by the fact that the Iranian regime, despite the sanctions we're putting, is basically making this happen. I mean, we look at the stock market in Tehran, and that's not a country under sanctions. And the reason is, Melissa, that we have created sanctions that are efficient, but in a very limited way. And the goal of these sanctions that we put along with our allies is to put pressure on the public. Remember, a few weeks ago, the value of the money there was going down. There were demonstrations moving in, putting pressure against the regime. So the regime basically did an influx of vitamin, I call it, of more money, more cash. And I know this is precarious. It could go down. But that means that the regime is not really isolated. They are having business coming out of Iraq, out of Beirut, a very important financial place. So they are maintaining this for one reason, to outlast us. They want to create conditions in the region so that we're going to say, okay, we're going to negotiate with you.
Do you know, it's called the TEPEX, I think, the Iranian stock exchange. Is it priced in Rials? I mean, and if it's going up 30%, isn't that about as much as the Rial has inflated over that same period of time? I mean, I think it's up 70% over the past year or something, or year to date, but it was... it's been 40% in about the same time period. So maybe this is just a reflection of inflation.
It could be, but the problem in those regimes, to look at the big picture, is that you can't actually investigate what is the real situation on the ground. It is not a liberal democracy. It's not like Wall Street, and they don't have one branch of government looking at the other branch of government. I mean, we may see later on that this could be an inflation and everything would collapse. What they're interested in, whatever it is to buy time against our sanctions.
Yeah, and you couple that with the idea that, Reuters did this great investigation into how they were basically smuggling gold bullion into the country. Turkey was sending it out in suitcases. It's going through Dubai. It's been about $2 billion in the last month or so. And it's gold pouring into the country to deal with the fact that they're having this inflation that's a result of the sanctions. So are they doing a really effective job putting all these things together? Does it mean they're doing a really good job of getting around the sanctions?
Look, the elite in Iran is not interested in the economy of the country at first. It's interested in its own economy. And I always make a distinction between the economy of the regime, the capacity to sustain the long-term survival of the regime on the one hand, while their middle class, lower class, the economy of the country is going down. But their bet is this. Their bet is that if they can deploy that cash, if they can invest with people inside Turkey, and now, as you were just mentioning, in Dubai, those will be the defenders, the protectors of the Iranian economy. And at the end of the day, as I said, they want to see at one point that the United States, this administration, the next administration will say, okay, we're going to stop the sanctions, let's go to negotiation. So everything they lost, they could bring it back if they survive the sanctions.
At the end of the day, are they just going to end up with a nuclear weapon kind of no matter what happens here?
Look, if we don't change our policy, this policy has not stopped them. So either we're going to change that policy or we're going to partner with the Iranian public to topple that regime. There are no third option. And unfortunately, at this point in time, the administration, the Obama administration, has chosen to wait. If we wait too long, they may get that weapon in the near future.
Well, thanks for coming on the show. We appreciate it.
Thank you.